Mark Lowry has finally revealed the shocking truth about the future of the Gaither Vocal Band. After years of speculation and anticipation, Lowry has revealed why the iconic band will never reunite. In a candid and heartfelt conversation, he shares the true reasons behind this decision, offering fans an inside look at the hardships and changes that led to this moment. Get ready for a revelation that will leave Gaither Vocal Band fans stunned and hungry for more details. The Gaither Vocal Band's breakup marked the end of an era in Christian music, and Mark Lowry's recent revelation about the group's future shed light on why they will never reunite. For years, fans had hoped that the iconic group, known for their timeless songs and powerful harmonies, would find their way back together. But Mark, a core member of the band, has made it clear that their time together is truly over. It wasn't a sudden decision or the result of a dramatic falling out, but rather a natural conclusion to a journey that had run its course. The Gaither Vocal Band, formed in the late 1900s by Bill Gaither, quickly became one of the most influential groups in gospel and Christian music. They had the ability to bring together beautiful harmonies, deep faith, and incredible talent, and the songs they created became anthems in churches and concert halls around the world. For Mark Lowry, who was a key member, the group represented not just professional success, but also a deep connection with his fellow bandmates. Their music spoke to their faith, and it resonated with millions of listeners who found hope and inspiration in their songs. However, over time, the realities of life began to shift the group's dynamics. Touring, recording, and maintaining a public presence took its toll on the members. As much as the Gaither Vocal Band's music had brought them together, the relentless schedule and pressure started to wear on them. Mark himself has spoken openly about how, after years of working together, the passion for constant touring and the demands of the industry became harder to sustain. For him, the decision to no longer reunite with the group wasn't about conflict or bad blood. It was simply a recognition that their time together had come to an end. The joy they once found in performing had gradually been replaced by exhaustion and the feeling that they had done everything they could. Mark's honest reflections on the group's breakup brought clarity to why a reunion would never happen. He explained that, like any group, the dynamics change over time. People grow, their lives take different directions, and sometimes that means moving on from something that was once a major part of who you are. The Gaither Vocal Band's legacy will forever be cherished by their fans, but Mark made it clear that they wouldn't be returning to the stage together. The bond they shared during their heyday was real, but it had run its course. And while that might have been a hard pill for some fans to swallow, Mark's words have helped everyone understand that sometimes the end of an era is simply about accepting the natural flow of life. As Mark Lowry reflects on his time with the Gaither Vocal Band, it becomes clear that behind the scenes there were struggles that many fans never saw. The public saw the success, the standing ovations, and the deep connections the band shared with their audience. But behind those moments of glory, Mark and his fellow bandmates faced personal and professional challenges that slowly started to take a toll on their dynamic. The toll was not just about being on the road and performing night after night. It was about the pressures that came with being a member of one of Christian music's most beloved groups, the exhaustion that comes from constant touring, and the emotional struggles that come with balancing personal lives with public expectations. For Mark, the journey with the Gaither Vocal Band had started out as a dream come true. He had always been passionate about music, and being part of such an influential group was an opportunity of a lifetime. But as the years went on, the reality of life on the road began to weigh on him. The schedule was relentless. Performances, rehearsals, interviews, and appearances became a never-ending cycle. As much as Mark loved making music and connecting with fans, the constant travel and pressure to always be on began to take a toll. It wasn't just the physical exhaustion of traveling from city to city, but the emotional and mental fatigue that came from maintaining a public persona while dealing with personal challenges. The emotional strain of being away from family and friends for long stretches of time began to weigh on him. Like many touring musicians, Mark found himself missing out on important moments in his personal life. Birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays were often spent on the road, performing in front of thousands, but missing the quiet moments with loved ones. It was during these times that Mark began to question whether the sacrifices were worth it. While he had a deep love for music and a passion for sharing his faith with others, the cost of being away from home so often started to feel overwhelming. The pressure to constantly perform at a high level also began to affect Mark. He had always been known for his humor and his ability to engage with the audience. But behind the jokes and the smiles, there were moments of doubt. The fear of not living up to expectations, of letting his fans and his bandmates down, crept in more often than he cared to admit. It was during these moments of vulnerability that Mark realized how much he had internalized the pressure to always be perfect on stage. The The Gaither Vocal Band's music was about faith, love, and joy. But there were times when Mark didn't feel those emotions as strongly as he projected. He struggled with the internal conflict of wanting to give everything to the music while feeling emotionally drained and disconnected from the very thing that had once brought him so much joy. Despite these struggles, Mark was always determined to keep going. He knew that the band's music was more than just entertainment. It was a message of hope and faith to their listeners. He felt a deep sense of responsibility to continue delivering those messages even when he wasn't feeling his best. But it wasn't long before the personal toll became too great. There were moments when Mark, in the midst of a performance, would find himself questioning whether he could continue at the pace he had been set. The love he had for the Gaither Vocal Band and for his fans was unwavering, but the constant demands of the road began to erode the joy that music once brought him. During these tough moments, Mark often found himself looking inward, reflecting on what was important. He knew that the band had become a huge part of his life, but he also realized that he couldn't ignore his own mental and emotional health. He began to openly talk about the struggles he was facing, both with the band and with his family. The internal struggle between his love for the group and the need to take care of himself became a central theme in his personal reflections. Mark didn't want to walk away from the group, but he also knew that the constant strain was unsustainable. As time went on, Mark's reflections on the struggles behind the scenes of the Gaither Vocal Band became clearer. He began to recognize that it wasn't just about the external pressures, being in a successful band, maintaining a public image, and touring the world. It was also about his own inner journey. He had always been open about his faith, and in many ways, his time with the Gaither Vocal Band had been a spiritual journey for him. But as the years passed, he came to understand that spiritual growth also meant recognizing when it was time to step back and focus on healing. It wasn't an easy realization, but it was a necessary one. Looking back, Mark saw that the struggles he faced were not just about the hardships of being in a band or the pressure of being a public figure. They were about learning to balance his personal and professional life. His time with the Gaither Vocal Band had brought him immense joy and fulfillment, but it had also forced him to confront some difficult truths about himself. It was during these moments of self-reflection that he came to the conclusion that it was time for the group to take a step back. The music, while still incredibly important to him, had become overshadowed by the demands of the lifestyle. Mark knew that he couldn't keep up the pace forever, and he wanted to leave behind a legacy that was meaningful, not one that was marred by burnout and exhaustion. Despite the struggles, Mark's reflections on his time with the Gaither Vocal Band were not filled with regret. Instead, he felt a deep sense of gratitude for the years they spent together and the music they created. The impact they had on their fans was immeasurable, and the friendships they formed along the way were priceless. Mark also knew that moving forward meant being honest with himself about what he needed. He couldn't continue to pour from an empty cup, and in order to continue creating meaningful work, he had to first take care of his own well-being. These personal reflections were the catalyst for Mark's decision to step away from the Gaither Vocal Band, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter in his life. For Mark, the end of this chapter wasn't about walking away from music. It was about understanding that true success in life is about balance, personal growth, and knowing when it's time to step back. The struggles behind the scenes had taught him invaluable lessons about resilience, the importance of self-care, and the power of introspection. It was these reflections that ultimately led him to a place of peace, knowing that he had given everything to the Gaither Vocal Band, and that it was time to take the next step in his personal journey. The Gaither Vocal Band's legacy in the Christian music industry is undeniable. For over 3 decades, they built a reputation not just as a musical group, but as a powerful voice of faith and hope. From their harmonious melodies to their deeply impactful lyrics, their music has touched millions around the world. Their influence isn't just about the music itself, it's about the connections they forged with their fans, the messages of faith and love they conveyed, and the way they helped shape the landscape of contemporary gospel music. When the Gaither Vocal Band first came together in the late 1980s, no one could have predicted the lasting impact they would have. Bill Gaither, the group's leader, was already a well-established figure in gospel music when he formed the band. The creation of the Gaither Vocal Band marked the beginning of something truly special. With its blend of vocal harmonies, traditional gospel roots, and contemporary flair, the band immediately caught the attention of fans of all ages. The combination of Bill's vision and the incredible voices of the band members, Mark Lowry, Michael English, David Phelps, and others, created a unique sound that resonated with listeners on a deeply personal level. The Gaither Vocal Band's music was more than just entertainment. It was a message of faith, hope, and encouragement. The group's songs weren't just about religious themes. They were about life, about the struggles, triumphs, and emotional journeys we all face. Their lyrics often spoke of God's love, redemption, and the power of faith in overcoming life's challenges. Songs like He Touched Me, Because He Lives, and Let's Just Praise the Lord became anthems for those who needed a reminder of the hope that comes with faith. These songs weren't just for the Sunday morning service. They were for every moment in life when someone needed to be reminded that there was light in the darkness. The impact of the Gaither Vocal Band on their fans cannot be overstated. Over the years, they built a fan base that spanned generations, from the young to the elderly, from those new to the faith to those who had grown up with the gospel. The group's music transcended denominational lines and cultural boundaries, bringing people together from all walks of life. Fans often spoke about how the Gaither Vocal Band's music had helped them through difficult times, providing comfort, solace, and encouragement. Their concerts were more than just performances. They were experiences where people felt like they were part of something bigger than themselves. The bond between the group and their fans was built on trust, mutual respect, and a shared belief in the power of music to heal and inspire. For many, the Gaither Vocal Band was a constant in a world that seemed to be changing rapidly. Their music provided a sense of stability and continuity in an often tumultuous world. People turned to their songs during moments of celebration and sorrow, knowing that the message in the music would always be one of hope, encouragement, and faith. The group's ability to connect with their audience through their songs, their personalities, and their love for each other was a big part of their success. Fans felt like they were a part of the Gaither family, and that connection was something that couldn't be broken by time or circumstance. The influence of the Gaither Vocal Band extended far beyond their fan base. Within the music industry, they played a key role in shaping the direction of contemporary gospel music. They brought a fresh energy to the genre, blending traditional gospel with modern elements to create a sound that was accessible to a wider audience. Their success opened doors for other gospel artists and helped elevate the genre to new heights. They were pioneers in blending traditional hymns with contemporary music styles, and that fusion made gospel music more relevant to a new generation of listeners. The Gaither Vocal Band helped redefine what gospel music could be, making it both timeless and fresh at the same time. Their influence was also felt in the live music scene. The Gaither Homecoming concerts, which featured not only the vocal band but also other gospel greats, became a cultural phenomenon. These concerts brought together some of the biggest names in Christian music and provided a platform for new voices to be heard. The Homecoming tours were known for their high-energy performances, their sense of community, and their powerful message of faith. These events weren't just about the music. They were about the experience of being in a room full of people who shared a common belief and love for gospel music. The concerts brought people from all walks of life together, and the sense of unity they created was one of the defining features of the Gaither Vocal Band's legacy. Beyond the music and the concerts, the Gaither Vocal Band's impact was felt in the way they inspired other musicians and artists. Mark Lowry, in particular, was known for his humor, his personal approach to songwriting, and his ability to connect with the audience through both his music and his words. His unique style and personality influenced many younger artists who looked up to him as a role model. The Gaither Vocal Band also served as a mentor to countless aspiring gospel musicians, helping to foster a new generation of talent. Their generosity in sharing their experience, their insights, and their passion for music made them not just a group to admire but a group to learn from. As the years passed and the group went through various changes in membership, the Gaither Vocal Band continued to be a powerful force in gospel music. The departures of some of its original members, including Mark Lowry and Michael English, left fans wondering if the group could continue to thrive without its iconic lineup. Yet, despite these changes, the band's music remained just as impactful. New members joined the group, bringing fresh energy and new perspectives to the music. The Gaither Vocal Band adapted and grew, but its core message of hope and faith remained unchanged. The music may have evolved, but the essence of what made the Gaither Vocal Band special, its ability to connect with people and inspire them, never wavered. Looking back on the Gaither Vocal Band's legacy, it is clear that their impact on both the fans and the industry is immeasurable. They helped shape the sound of gospel music, bringing it to new audiences and ensuring that the messages of faith, hope, and love would continue to be shared through their songs. For fans, the Gaither Vocal Band was not just a group of talented musicians. They were a source of inspiration, a reminder of the power of faith, and a constant in a world that often feels unpredictable. Their music continues to live on, not just through recordings, but through the memories of those who have been touched by it. The Gaither Vocal Band's legacy is not defined by the number of albums sold or the number of awards they received, but by the countless lives they touched with their music and their message. and for that, they will always be remembered as one of the most influential and beloved groups in gospel music history. As the Gaither Vocal Band's era came to an end, fans and the music industry were left to wonder what comes next for Mark Lowry and the legacy of the group. For years, the band had been an icon in the world of gospel music, bringing together a diverse group of talented musicians who not only performed powerful songs, but also connected deeply with their audience. Mark Lowry, with his unique humor, distinctive voice, and songwriting skills, was a key part of the group's success. But with the end of this chapter, what does the future hold for him? And how will the Gaither Vocal Band's legacy continue to live on? For Mark Lowry, the road ahead is still rich with opportunity. While his time with the Gaither Vocal Band may have come to a close, his career as a solo artist, speaker, and songwriter is far from over. Mark has always been a multifaceted performer, and over the years, he built a career that wasn't just about singing. He was also known for his witty sense of humor and ability to engage audiences with his storytelling. This unique blend of humor and heart has been a hallmark of his work, and it's something that fans continue to appreciate even after his departure from the Gaither Vocal Band. Mark's solo career has always been distinct, with albums like Mark Lowry, The Best of Mark Lowry, and Jingle Bell Rock showing off his personality and talent as a performer. While his work with the Gaither Vocal Band is a big part of his legacy, his solo projects have given him a space to express himself in ways that are unique to him as an individual artist. Mark's talent for connecting with audiences has never been confined to just singing. His speaking engagements, often laced with humor and deep spiritual insights, have made him a beloved figure among fans who appreciate his authenticity and down-to-earth personality. In the years following his time with the Gaither Vocal Band, Mark has continued to tour and perform, not only as a musician but also as a speaker. His ability to weave humor with meaningful messages of faith has resonated deeply with people, and it's clear that he has carved out a special place for himself in the Christian music community. Even without the band, Mark's presence is still felt in the industry. He's a sought-after speaker at church events, conferences, and performances, and fans continue to support him in his solo endeavors. While Mark's career continues to evolve, the Gaither Vocal Band's legacy remains an undeniable force. For many, the group represents a golden era of gospel music, a time when their powerful harmonies, deep faith, and heartfelt performances inspired millions around the world. Even though the band has moved on, the music they created together is far from forgotten. The songs the Gaither Vocal Band produced continue to be sung in churches, heard on the radio, and enjoyed by fans new and old. Hits like He Touched Me, Let's Just Praise the Lord, and Because He Lives are timeless, and their impact is still felt today. These songs have become a cornerstone of gospel music, and they continue to inspire and uplift people in times of joy and sorrow alike. The Gaither Vocal Band's legacy also lies in the way they helped shape the contemporary gospel music scene. When the group first formed, gospel music was evolving, and the Gaither Vocal Band played a key role in bridging the gap between traditional hymns and contemporary sounds. They infused their music with modern rhythms and arrangements while maintaining the rich, heartfelt messages of gospel music. This unique blend helped make gospel music more accessible to a new generation of listeners, and it opened the door for many other artists who followed in their footsteps. Today, gospel music continues to thrive, and much of that success can be traced back to the work that the Gaither Vocal Band did in bringing the genre into the mainstream. But what does the future look like for the group's legacy now that Mark and the other members have moved on? One of the most exciting things about the Gaither Vocal Band's impact is that their influence isn't confined to their active years as a group. The group's music is still being passed down from generation to generation, shared in churches, at family gatherings, and in personal moments of reflection. Their songs are timeless, and their ability to connect with audiences through powerful, heartfelt performances will continue to be felt for years to come. The fact that their music is still relevant today is a testament to the lasting impact they had on the gospel music scene. The songs that Mark Lowry and the other members helped create will continue to inspire people, no matter what comes next for them personally. For Mark Lowry, the road ahead is not about trying to recreate the past. Rather, it's about continuing to embrace new opportunities to grow as an artist and connect with his audience in new ways. As a performer, he's always been one to embrace change and take risks. His time with the Gaither Vocal Band was about creating something special with a group of like-minded musicians.